In the heart of a quiet, suburban neighborhood, there stood a house that had always given me an eerie feeling. It was an old, Victorian-style mansion, nestled among the modern homes that surrounded it. The locals whispered about its history, tales of a family that had once lived there, but had mysteriously vanished without a trace. They said the house was cursed, but I was never one to believe in such superstitions. That was until one fateful night, when I found myself home alone. It was a chilly evening, and the wind howled through the trees outside, casting long, sinister shadows across the dimly lit street. My parents had gone on a weekend trip, leaving me alone in the house. At first, I relished the idea of having the entire place to myself, but as the hours passed, a sense of unease settled in. The house had always been old, its creaking floorboards and peeling wallpaper a testament to its age. As I moved from room to room, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that there was something unseen lurking in the shadows. The clock struck midnight, and I decided to retire to my bedroom. I climbed under the covers, hoping to escape the chill that had seeped into the house, but as I lay there in the darkness, I heard it, a faint, distant whisper, like a ghostly voice on the wind. I strained my ears to listen, trying to decipher the words, but they were too faint to make out. I told myself it was just my imagination, that the old house was playing tricks on me, but as the whispering grew louder, I couldn't deny that it was real. And it was coming from somewhere within the house. With trembling hands, I reached for my phone, using its feeble light to guide me. As I ventured out into the hallway, the whispering seemed to grow stronger, as if it were drawing me deeper into the house. I followed the sound, my heart pounding, until I found myself outside the door of the old study, a room I had always avoided. As I pushed the door open, the room was bathed in an eerie, green light. The source of the light was a vintage television, one that I had never seen before. Its screen was turned on, displaying nothing but static, but the whispering was coming from the television, and as I drew closer, I realized that it was the voice of a woman, her words filled with despair. "You have to find me," she whispered. "I'm trapped in the static, in between worlds." I couldn't believe my ears. The television screen held a woman, her face contorted in agony as she reached out to me, her fingers pressing against the glass. She seemed to be trapped within the static, a prisoner in a realm beyond our understanding. As I stood there, trying to comprehend the impossible, the room seemed to warp around me. The walls closed in, and the green light pulsed with an otherworldly energy. I felt as though the very fabric of reality was unraveling. In a moment of sheer terror, I reached out to touch the television screen, and the static seemed to pull me in. I was transported to a place that defied all logic, a nightmarish dimension, where the laws of physics and reality were twisted and distorted. The woman's voice echoed around me, her words filled with anguish. "You have to help me," she implored. "The static is a prison, a gateway to a realm of horror." I tried to find a way out, to escape this nightmare, but the more I struggled, the deeper I was drawn into the abyss. I could see other trapped souls, their faces contorted in agony, their voices pleading for release. Then, with a blinding flash, I was back in the old study, standing before the television. The green light had faded, and the room had returned to its normal state. I was alone, and the television screen displayed nothing but static. As I stared at the screen, in disbelief, the woman's voice whispered one final, cryptic message: "Beware the static, for it is a gateway to a realm of endless horror. It can trap the unwary, like it trapped me." I shut off the television and stumbled out of the room, my heart racing, my mind in turmoil. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had glimpsed a terrifying truth, a reality that lurked just beyond our perception. To this day, I am haunted by the mystery of the old house, the television screen, and the woman trapped within the static. I cannot escape the fear that the static is a doorway to a realm of unimaginable horror, and that it may one day claim me as its next victim. And so, I warn you, my dear audience, to beware the static that fills your screens. For within its depths may lie a gateway to a realm of pure terror, a place from which there is no escape. In the quiet, remote town of Pembroke, nestled deep within the woods, there was a house that had been abandoned for as long as anyone could remember. Locals whispered that it was cursed, a place where the spirits of the deceased lingered, unable to find peace. They said the house was haunted, but I scoffed at such tales. That is until I found myself home alone on a dark winter's night. My parents had left town for a few days, and I relished the idea of having the house to myself. The snow fell outside, blanketing the world in a tranquil, white stillness. It was a perfect setting for a cozy night alone, or so I thought. As the night deepened, I heard strange noises echoing through the house. It started as soft, indistinct whispers that seemed to come from the walls themselves. At first, I attributed it to the wind or the settling of the old house. But as the hours passed, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. I ventured into the dimly lit hallway, guided only by the feeble light of my phone. The whispers seemed to converge near the staircase, and I hesitated, my heart pounding. I couldn't deny that the voices were real, and they were coming from the second floor. As I climbed the creaking stairs, the whispers grew more distinct. They spoke of lost souls and eternal torment, of a curse that had bound them to the house. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, and yet, there was a chilling truth to their words. I reached the top of the stairs and stood before the door of the master bedroom. The whispers emanated from within, like a chorus of the damned. With trembling hands, I pushed the door open and stepped into the room. The bedroom was in disarray, as if it hadn't been touched in decades. But what caught my attention was an old, ornate mirror that hung on the wall. Its glass was cracked, and it seemed to exude an otherworldly energy as I approached it. The whispers in the room grew more intense, their voices filled with sorrow. I stared into the mirror, and my reflection began to change. My face twisted and contorted, becoming a visage of pure horror. I tried to turn away, to escape the mirror's grasp. But I couldn't. I was trapped, my reflection mocking me from the other side. The room itself seemed to warp, its walls closing in on me. I was surrounded by the voices of the spirits, the agony filling the air. They begged for release, for someone to break the curse that bound them to the house. I felt a chilling presence behind me, and I turned to see a figure emerging from the mirror. It was a woman, her eyes hollow, her skin pallid. She reached out to me, her hand passing through the mirror as if it were a portal to another world. Her voice was a mournful whisper as she said, "You must free us." I stumbled back in terror, unable to comprehend the nightmare that had enveloped me. The room seemed to crumble around me, and I was plunged into darkness. When I awoke, I was alone in the house, the voices had fallen silent, and the mirror was once again cracked and lifeless. It was as if the nightmare had never happened, as if I had been transported to a realm of pure horror and then returned to reality. To this day, I am haunted by the mystery of the abandoned house and the cursed mirror. I cannot escape the fear that the spirits that reside within it may one day call me back, that the mirror is a doorway to a realm of unimaginable horror, a place from which there is no escape. And so, I warn you, my dear audience, to beware of the old, abandoned places and the mirrors that hang within them, for within their depths may lie a gateway to a realm of pure terror, a place from which there is no return.